So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a look at 10 of the best-selling Yves Saint Laurent fragrances for men, and I'm going to be rating them 1 to 10 based off of how much I like them or maybe don't like them all that much. And I'll also be touching on whether I think these should be included in a best-selling list. Now you may be asking, how do I know that these are bestsellers? Do I have some sort of insider information? Do I have access to the company's sales figures? No, of course not. I don't get any special treatment being a reviewer, contrary to popular belief. Simply what I did was I went on Macy's.com and FragranceNet.com and sorted by top sellers. And then from the top down, that's how I gathered my data here. It's not the most scientific thing that we have, but it's about as close as we're going to get. So that's what I'm rolling with. So we're going to be starting at the bottom of the list here, you know, the ones that aren't as beefy of sellers currently, and we'll work our way up. And I will drop links to all of these down below as well to discounters. So if you have interest in any of these, you can pick them up yourself. Yves Saint Laurent, huge brand. They have a big footprint in the fragrance community, so it'll be kind of interesting to go through all these and rank them, or rate them, I guess I should say. So we're going to start off with the number 10 bestseller right now. It is L'Homme Cologne Bleu. So this one here wasn't really welcomed with the warmest greeting when it came out, and I can kind of see why. It's not bad, but it also isn't anything super substantial either, and its lack of performance doesn't really help that. If this would have been a slam dunk 12-hour beast mode scent, it would be doing much better right now, guaranteed. But unfortunately, it's really not. It's not the best performer here. This one's got lavender, sea notes, orange, a bunch of citrus, musks, a little bit of woods. It is just very, very similar to a lot of things. Kind of smells a little bit like Y Eau de Toilette. It smells a little bit kind of like L'Homme Le Parfum. It just smells like a lot of stuff that Yves Saint Laurent has already released. I mean, there's even some of the original L'Homme DNA in here, which makes sense. It is a L'Homme flanker, but it's just kind of a mashup of a bunch of things. And so for that, I give this one like a 5 out of 10. It's just one where I don't really think it's the best investment for most guys out there. If you're a hardcore collector like myself and you want to own the bottle just to have it, fair enough. But if you're just in the market for stuff that smells good and that you just want to wear, you know, relatively heavily, I wouldn't really necessarily put your money towards this one. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Yves Saint Laurent Y Live. So this one here has ginger. It's got that amberwood going on. It's got a little bit more of a sweetness to it compared to the other Y fragrances. Kind of like, I don't know, in a way it's almost even more mass-pleasing. It's almost more generic, I guess, if I had to put a word on it. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way towards the scent, but that's kind of how it is. It leans a little bit further into the more trendy style of men's release. Now, I'm not saying that Y Eau de Parfum or Eau de Toilette or Parfum is super unique, but this one just goes more in the even more generic cookie cutter direction, at least to me. But what that does do is it makes it a really, really good compliment getter. I also do believe this one has been discontinued. It's not on the official website anymore. I think it's disappeared off most retailers. The only place you can find this one now is on discounters. I will drop it down below. If you're into stuff like this, you might as well get it while you can. So for me, what do I rate this one? I give this one a 7 out of 10. I much prefer the other Y fragrances, but that's just me. Next up, we have La Nuit de L'Homme Le Parfum. So this one has black pepper. It's got a little bit of that kind of spiciness going on. Instead of the cardamom, it's the black pepper. You get some sweeter notes in here. You get that lavender, some vanilla. It's kind of a interesting flanker because it's a little bit, to me, fresher than La Nuit de L'Homme, the Eau de Toilette. You know, that one is super cardamom heavy with the lavender, and it's much more warm and spicy and evening feeling, and I don't know, just the original La Nuit de L'Homme is hard to replicate. It's hard to beat. And so when I think of a Parfum version of that, I think of something richer and stronger, not kind of going in the other direction, which this one does to me. There's a little bit of a fruitiness in this one as well. I do really like the smell. I just thought initially that it was kind of a confusing flanker. I give this one an 8 out of 10. I really like it. I don't like it as much as the original. I don't like it as much as Bleu Electrique, which of course is discontinued. But it also stands out to me more so than like La Nuit de l'Homme, Eau de Parfum, and a few others in the line. So yeah, for me, 8 out of 10. Next up, we have M7 Oud Absolu. So this one has been through its paces. It started out as just M7 back when Tom Ford was a creative director, yada yada, you guys know this, right? Then it got discontinued, and then they brought it back into this lineup here with these bottles, except initially when they brought it back, the bottle was all black. I do have one of those just in a box somewhere, and between the black bottle and now the current iteration, which is the clear bottle, there's really no difference. It's just packaging changes for whatever reason they wanted to go this direction. I thought the old version looked cooler, but to each their own. So of course this one has oud, it has patchouli. They even give you the note breakdown on the side. Yeah, myrrh in there basically, oud, if I didn't say oud already, which I should have. But it's a very designer level oud fragrance with that patchouli going on, nice creamy sweet orange top note. This DNA is just one of a kind. Really is something special, and it makes sense that it's a good seller, at least in the community, and even outside of the community. I think this will appeal to people who just want a more mature scent. Even, I think, could be a unisex scent, even though I believe it's marketed for men. Could be wrong, but I think really anyone can pull this off if you just like it. And for me, it's a no-brainer, 10 out of 10. Our first 10 out of 10 in the list, no question for me. Awesome stuff, and definitely worth picking up if you can get your hands on it. Next up, we have L'Homme Les Parfums. So I like this one much better than L'Homme Cologne Bleu. So if you're looking for a fresher L'Homme flanker, Les Parfums is the one to get. This one's got that amberwood note going on in here to a relatively heavy extent. It's got the lavender, a little bit of apple. It's simply L'Homme Eau de Toilette, but with a more modern take and freshened up a little bit more overall. The original L'Homme, you know, has that ginger going on and some more woods and spices, and it's a little bit like of a warmer scent overall, at least to me. But L'Homme Les Parfums freshened up, modernized with that amberwood. It's kind of a L'Homme with a blue fragrance twist, basically, is how it is. And this is another one that when it came out initially, people weren't really too thrilled with it. And I was super late to getting this one for reasons I've talked about before. My package got lost overseas. And after I finally got it in, I was like, wait a minute, I actually really like this. I wasn't expecting to because I was hearing everyone else say, oh, it's not that good. After I tested it multiple times, it became a scent that I would put into my rotation. I featured it in many lists because I think it's a very nice wearable, great compliment getter with solid performance. For me, I give this one an 8 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10. It still, to me, doesn't bring as much of the wow factor as some of these others that we'll talk about, but also still impressively solid. Alrighty, next up, YSL Y Parfum. So this one is climbing the ranks pretty quickly here in terms of its sales, at least according to these websites. Again, it's not all completely scientific, but it does make sense. This is following up, you know, just L'Homme or YSL Y EDP basically, even though not technically, you know, there was Eau Fresh thrown in, but this is most similar to Y EDP, and so it's following, you know, the footprint of that main lineup. And even the EDT, when you're backing up, you know, a couple really successful fragrances with the flanker, it's automatically just going to do well. You know, just has that Y name attached to it, just like Paco Rabanne 1 million, just like Invictus, all those big names, when they release flankers, they just end up doing well almost automatically. And then maybe over time, if they do suck, they'll drop back down. That's not the case here with Y Parfum. This one has that DNA, the sage, the lavender, amberwood, apple up top, just very aromatic mid, kind of a bubblegummy, slightly sweet base from the amberwood, fruity top note. Just a really, really pleasant DNA, but it's yet even more refined, even more smooth than the EDP and the EDT. I love the Parfum, no doubt about it. I've talked about that on the channel. I give this one a 10 out of 10. I really, really do. I think this stuff is awesome by every stretch of the term. Alrighty, and next up we have La Nuit de l'Homme, Speak of the Devil. This is going to be showing up. You know, it still does well, I do think. Not in its prime anymore. You know, that big hype wave has been long gone, but it's still brought up and it's still being purchased, of course, and it's always going to be. It's a legend for a great reason. It brought the cardamom note to life in designer men's perfumery. Like, if you ask anyone, hey, do you like cardamom? Do you like cardamom in fragrances? They're like, oh yeah, I love La Nuit de l'Homme. That's like the signature cardamom fragrance, even though really there are a ton out there, but this one kind of really brought it to life. And I love everything about La Nuit de l'Homme. This should be no surprise. This isn't going to be anything new. I give this a 10 out of 10. I've been wearing this for a long time. I've got several bottles of it. It's just a special scent all the way around. And I think we're following that up with L'Homme up next here. Still doing well also, which I love to see. And it's another 10 out of 10. I've just talked about this recently. It's just a gentleman's classic. Everything about it to me is just comforting and relaxing and I don't know, just super wearable, a pleasant scent, something that will never go out of style. It's so timeless. I mean, it's L'Homme, you know, just man. It's literally what it translates to. So yeah, definitely smells like a guy. All right, so we've got the number 2 bestseller right here. It's Y Eau de Toilette. So, you know, people are still buying the Eau de Toilette. And there's no surprise to that either. People still buy Sauvage EDT, Bleu de Chanel EDT, things of that nature. And so people are still going to be buying this one, you know, especially the department store dwellers that, you know, we're kind of getting our data from here. Just people who walk into the Macy's and Ulta and Sephora. A lot of times they're not going to be sitting down and going over, okay, I'm going to smell the EDT, now I'm going to smell the EDP, now I'm going to smell the parfum, and I'm going to test the performance, I'm going to see which one has the best quality and see how each develops and what notes I get the most. No, people aren't doing that. They're going in, they're probably grabbing the first thing that catches their eye, spraying it and going, oh, that smells good. And now they're walking out after spending $100 plus tax for that retail priced scent, which to be fair on discounters, they aren't much more affordable either, but you could save a little bit. But the point is, it's still going to be doing well for obvious reasons. And for me, the EDT, it is really nice, but I just prefer the others. I give this one an 8 out of 10 as well. I really like it. I especially like the newly launched version, the 2022 release that had to be reformulated. I like that better than the old YSL EDT, but it still doesn't take the place of the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum for me. And that leads us, of course, to the Eau de Parfum. This is the top dog right now. You look on really all of the websites, Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, and then you go over to the discounter side of things, FragranceNet, FragranceX, Joma Shop, Fragrance Buy, and if you're able to sort by bestsellers on these and focus on the YSL brand, YEDP is at the top of the list. I mean, this stuff is hot and it's not going anywhere. And of course, it's got the amberwood, apple, lavender, sage, clary sage, all that type of stuff going on. And it just smells fantastic. Uplifting, fun, playful, sexy, and just easygoing. Performance on this is also out of this world. I mean, you're looking at 10 plus hours consistently, longevity-wise, strong projection, especially in the heat. It just does everything right. Big compliment getter as well. It has it all going for it. I give it a 10 out of 10 as well. It would really be tough for me to choose between this and the Parfum. I mean, it's something I would never have to do and I wouldn't want to do either. But, it's just one of those things. I just love it. 10 out of 10 for me. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for me. That is rating the 10 best-selling fragrances from Yves Saint Laurent. Links to these will be down below. Let me know down below in the comments what some of your highest rated and also lowest rated YSL fragrances are. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.